the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilman Cousins.
Our Heavenly Father, we bow full of gratitude for the many blessings that we enjoy. We're thankful for the abundance that is ours living here in Cedar City, and are grateful for thy blessings. We ask a blessing upon the proceedings of this meeting. We pray that we'll deliberate fairly and honestly, and that thy Spirit might guide our efforts. We're thankful for the opportunity to meet as a community and to share our thoughts and our aspirations for this city. We pray for a blessing upon those who protect us, and pray for continued moisture to bless this part of thy kingdom, and ask for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please stand and follow me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you both. We will now move on to our agenda order approval. The presentation on the beautifications of the garden at the Hill needs to be postponed until probably next week. So other than that change, are there any other items that the council would like change from the published agenda? And if not, can we get a motion?
Move to approve the agenda order with that one deletion for the postponement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Council business? Yes.
I give a water. Our Weir's here,
Oh,
so we can have a party.
Well, wonders never cease.
I emailed you a picture if you want to pull it up.
Oh my goodness.
So the CMSI bolted the plate down today, and they've dropped the weir in place, and they're still waiting on the device that lifts, raises and lowers it, but we can at least get it in and temporarily in place. So that's almost done. The Curtis DeMille with Iron County has finished digging the trench all the way down. It's done. They've increased the size of the holding pond on the south side of 56. It was a triangular shaped pond. We've quadrupled the size of that pond. They found 2 more culverts that were going under the highway we weren't aware of. They were overgrown with weeds and dirt, and so they found 2 more culverts, and so they're extending those culverts over to the lazy river with about 350 feet of 24-inch corrugated pipe. And Curtis DeMille is now finished with the holding pond, and he's over there going to install those pipes. Our water crew from the water district, they're pouring a concrete spillway that can be adjustable, so we can put boards in it and adjust the level of that water to create water pressure to push under the road and feed our lazy river. So I think within about 2 weeks we'll be up and ready to go. So finally, and that project will be pretty much done. So we're excited.
It came right on time.
We've missed a little bit of water, but we're still good. So.
That's awesome.
That's good.
Are there any other council comments? No? I think he's not here either. Tomorrow and Friday is the Utah Rural Summit that will be held here at SUU. As in conjunction with that, during the governor's State of the State address, he brought up his 25,000 jobs initiative. And tomorrow from 4 to 6 on the quad outside the Hunter Conference Center is when they'll be doing the launch for that here in Iron County. And so.
Yeah, they're making a tour of all 25 counties. I was up in Beaver today for their launch, midday, and they're committed to 25,000 jobs in 25 counties. Kind of a neat initiative. There wasn't a huge crowd up there. But so
anyways, there was just that bit. Early voting has started, as evidenced by the vote signs that are in the hallway and the voting machines that are in here. So primary is on the 15th, but you can early vote during the set dates and times. I didn't have the paper in front of me, or I would tell them to you. So, all right. With that, we'll move on to staff comments. Is there any? No? Wonderful. Then we'll move on to our public agenda with our public comment portion. If there's anyone that would like to address the council. Oh, this is a quiet meeting. Okay. We'll get on with the business agenda with our public portion.
By a crowd.
Item number 1, consider an ordinance vacating city trail easement in the Southern View subdivision. With Kit or David, I don't know who wants to be speaking on this one.
Let me get a map up here real quick.
Well, while we're waiting, Mayor, do we have this, do we have the technology dialed in now so we can get the streaming and recorded on our meetings? We've missed a couple. Have we got that dialed in? What? Streaming now?
Streaming
Okay.
right now. We've got it going.
And if it's streaming, it's recording on YouTube, right? Automatically?
Yeah.
That works. Okay.
Mhm.
Mayor, may I make one quick comment while we're waiting?
No.
Okay.
Wow, I've never seen her so forceful.
Sure.
Never seen him so dejected.
Tom Jett, sorry for, they're even reminding me back here to say Tom Jett. This is great. Get it from both sides.
We'll get you trained yet.
Yeah.
It's taken 4 years, but we're doing good now.
Sorry for speaking out of order, but approximately 10 years ago when Jerry Sherritt was mayor, about approximately 10 years ago, around into about the middle of it, I think he ran 2 terms. I think it was toward the end of his first term. And this isn't directed toward any one individual, but Jerry Sherritt and the council discussed that if people are not able to make their own presentation rather than staff speaking the pros and the cons for the projects, then the mayor and staff and council at that time said, you know what, we should just table it until they are able to come. And I've seen in the last couple of years sometimes, and I understand people are busy, but sometimes people don't come to advocate for their own projects and to represent their own projects. And I don't think it's really necessarily, with a few exceptions, staff's job to be representing whoever that developer is or whoever that project presenter is, because sometimes there's pros and cons to the decision or the answer. So that's just something that was set forth a long time ago. It wasn't policy, but it was more political discussion on the importance of being here if you're going to ask to be on the agenda to speak about a project. Thank you for your time.
There was one thing I wanted to bring to your attention. If you noticed when you walked in, our black poles outside, light poles, they're all sparkly and freshly, look out the window. They're freshly black and sparkly.
Light poles.
Yes. We're getting things piece by piece repainted and everything. But
Thank you.
So we have an
But they're not
awning
9 up arms green.
and new pole.
so when you, awning, new painted poles, there'll be railings too.
Get any better than that.
The signs, we're going to fix the signs around there. So city office will sparkle.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay, I think I've got everything going here. This is a request to vacate an easement down in the Southern View subdivision. There was a trail easement that was platted as part of the original plat of this subdivision that went right here, and the property owners on both sides of that easement requesting that it be vacated. This request came in one time before, and we were a little reluctant to vacate it because we were worried about the people in the subdivision being able to access the trail. But now that the BLM has built their trailhead down in this location, we really don't think that this easement's necessary. It not only crosses a big channel that a bridge would have to be installed to do that, but it also kind of dead ends into a pretty steep hillside. So staff recommendation and also the planning commissions that that easement be vacated and the trailhead be accessed from the new trailhead.
Are there any questions from the council? Any concerns? Okay, this will go on our action agenda for next time.
Do they have the restrooms built?
It's not
Excuse
quite
me?
done.
Restrooms built yet?
Restrooms are done.
Restroom
Oh, they're,
installed by the end of the
But you're going to have to come up and talk in the microphone and say your name.
Dave Jacobson, BLM.
Dave.
The restroom should be installed by the end of the month or first part of September. We just filled our contract and they're just coordinating delivery.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. All right. Then we'll move to item number 2, consider an ordinance vacating a public utility easement at 100 East Nichols Canyon Road.
This is the one where the church connected.
okay.
Otherwise, they didn't-
This is an easement that's, this is just a public utility easement that's being requested to be vacated. You got Nichols Canyon Road here. There's actually a lot that sits right in here and then another big lot that sits over here. That easement was originally put in there to make sure that utilities could be provided to the lots on the other side of the channel over in this area. But since then, the utilities for these lots have also all been provided from the streets that have been improved since that easement was put in place. So the utilities have all looked at this in our project review meeting and they see no reasons that this can't be vacated. So that's the recommendation.
Are there any questions? This will go on our action agenda also. All right, item number 3, consider approval of vicinity plan for Temple Cove subdivision.
Bob Platt. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This is a proposed subdivision just north of the temple. And as you'll remember, about 2 months ago, there was a discussion about the church I don't know what word to use, donating this to the city, that green belt, and that has gone away. They are going to do a tasteful access off of Cove Drive into this because they felt very strongly that these people should have easy access to the temple from their homes. This has been through engineering review and planning commission. So,
now, Bob, the discussion 2 months ago was the fact that that was very steep and it was going to be quite a mess. What changed between now and then? Definitions or opinions or?
Well, the profile, there has been a lot of review with the church architectural people about what this is going to look like, and it will be tastefully done on the uphill side. So in the design process, it will be addressed. And
Meaning some nice looking retention.
yeah, you know, that might be diamond block with landscaping. I guarantee you, it will look nice.
Do we have, and I guess we have visibility clearances on those curves and things there enough to,
Yeah, that's basically coming on the outside of a curve there. So usually when you come into the outside of a curve, you don't have really too many visibility issues. One comment I'd like to make on the original plans for the temple, this was designated as a preservation area over in here. So I'm pretty certain in order to try to keep that, you know, as natural as possible, they'll hopefully do something you know, landscape wise or block wall or whatever with the road to make it fit.
I can say they took 2 months looking at this before they said to move ahead. So
The detention basin for the temples is just right up in here.
All right.
And one thing we are going to do on this access road is put the PUE on the downhill side only. I've discussed that with the utility companies that have to bring utilities into here. We will not have the flat 10 feet of PUE along this side, which will help minimize that cut situation.
Step up, step. All right. Is there anything else that you have with this related to this kit? Or are there any other questions that council has? No? Okay. Let's go on the consent.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Item number 4, consider approval of a road dedication for Falcon Drive and Circle Road.
Arlo Fossum with Go Civil Engineering. Mayor and council, what we've got is a dedication of a new road that we're kind of taking this lot, subdividing it up and dedicating a city street there for the improvement of these lots.
Arlo, where is that?
We've got this is Main Street going right here. Right across the street is the jails right here. And we've got a church right down in this corner. And
That's the high school, isn't it?
what's that?
High school's right down the corner.
Yeah, we've got the high school down in the bottom over here, and so that there's talk of an access for the high school right at the bottom of that road also. We'll see how well that works out.
So right now they're just dedicating the road, and then they'll be coming in and doing what we call a simple minor lot subdivision in the commercial area. And with that, they don't have to improve the road until the individual lots are improved. So they'll put in the asphalt and utilities and the curb gutter and sidewalk.
I've looked at the title. Everything's free and clear.
All right. Are there any other comments or questions from council?
Is that zoning, is that all commercial that's back in there? Or?
It is.
Yeah.
All commercial property.
Okay. You good if this goes on consent? All right.
Mayor, may I just make one? This will be a quick comment.
You've had your comment quota for the night.
Tom Jett, this is just for anybody that's interested in history. This line right through here used to be a cattle trail for the D.L. Sargent family up right past the jail, up in the cattle and sheep trail, actually. This whole area was sheep ranching for the Sargent family and the Ashdown family. And there was I think it's about a 30-foot sheep trail that actually existed up until 1990, if I believe, from an easement standpoint. They went right across here, and where the freeway did not exist at that particular time, that runs out there. That's just part of the history of this valley and how that property was utilized.
Thanks. All right, we'll move to item number 5, a public hearing to consider a proposed general land use amendment from medium density to high density for property located at 1700 North Lund Highway.
Arlo Fossum with Go Civil Engineering. Get that. point there. There we go. Okay, so what we've got the Sycamore Trail subdivision, and I don't know why it ended up getting zoned general commercial out here. What the developer would like to do is to change the land use, propose a land use change to dense residential in R3, and he's looking at doing more like some townhouses out in the front of that. And so it's still, I think, part of the Sycamore Trail subdivision, but I'm not sure exactly what his plans are. But I know it's going more of a townhouse is what he's looking at doing. So we just need to change the general land use from the commercial into the dense residential.
Right.
Were all the neighbors notified?
Yes, they had to send notices out to everybody within 300 feet. And there wasn't anybody that really responded.
That's this, would Azalea Lane be within that 300?
Yeah, it's basically anything within 300 feet of this area. So it would be a pretty good circle around that.
All right.
This is the general land use plan, current general land use plan that's up on here.
So were there other questions, comments from the council? If not, then we will open the public hearing. And if there's anyone who'd like to address the council on this.
Townhomes than a 7-Eleven.
Okay, we will close the public hearing. This is a lot different than the public hearings lately. Okay. Then, are there any other questions, comments related to this? All right, this will go on our action. Item number 6, public hearing to consider proposed zone change from general commercial to high-density residential R-3-M for property located at 1700 North Lund Highway.
Arlo Fossman with Go Civil Engineering. So we had the proposal to do the general land use from the medium or commercial or whatever it was to the R3, and now this is just a proposal to change that zone in accordance with that land use. So.
All right. Questions from the council or Kit or anyone?
That's current zoning, so it'd just be that GC area right here that would be changed.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering, back on the other one, on number 5, it was saying change it from medium to high density. Shouldn't that be from commercial, general commercial to high density?
Oh, because
it was the land use was still at the medium.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know why the land use didn't get changed when it got zoned to the general commercial. So we've it's got some, we'll get it all corrected with this.
Okay.
All right. Are there other questions or comments from the council? If not, we will open our public hearing on this item. Is there anyone that would like to address the council?
Wow. He's in a tie and everything.
Good evening, council staff. Jeremy Valgartson representing the Cedar City Airport. I saw this when it went to sketch review. I just want to make note that it is in the traffic pattern zone and very close to the airport. So it will be noisier than if you're on the east side of the town. So I just recommended that we put something. It doesn't have to be an navigation easement, but some type of notification in the deed that you do live close to an airport and you do reside underneath the traffic pattern zone.
That makes it all the more logical to have higher density.
We'd probably put that on the final plat, which is the recorded document for all the lots. So.
Okay. All right. Are there any other comments?
You should go see your family now.
Okay, then we will close the public hearing. And this will go on our action agenda. Okay, item number 7, consider a lease agreement with Staley Rec Management. Dallin. Might as well. I'm sure there'll be questions anyway, so we'll just get you.
I'm Dallin Staley with Staley Rec Management.
Well done.
I manage wrecks all day long.
Me too, it seems like.
So, Mr. Staley and myself and Mr. Bittman, Mr. Isom sat down a couple weeks ago and worked through an agreement. And essentially the agreement's the exact same as it was last year with a couple of modifications that are in the write-up. One is we extended the lease for 2 years, and we're going to have an easy out paragraph in there, or term in there, where it would allow Staley Rec Management, if they decide to build a rink at a different location, to exit our lease quickly. It provides for them putting in an outhouse, I think in the northwest corner, if I remember correctly.
Skate rental shack, but yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Is outhouse a Canadian term for outbuilding?
Yeah, it is. Especially on an outdoor rink.
Yeah. Close enough.
Then
we can put a 5-gallon bucket in there for
It's
you.
all, it's all semantics.
How do those work when it's freezing?
one change that may affect the neighbors, I don't see it, but just so the council's aware, when they initially put in that sheet of ice, they can't really operate from 7:30 in the morning till 10:30 at night. They need to be there all night long. So we gave them 3 days to do that.
And that's really no change from what we did in past years. We just did it instead of writing it in the contract.
You didn't get permission, you just got forgiveness.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Are there any questions, comments for Dallin? No? We'll put this on the consent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Item number 8, consider addendum to the MOU with the BLM. Presentation on Thunderbird Garden Trail System connection with the 13th hole trailhead.
So we're continuing to, I'm Dave Jacobson, BLM. We're continuing to work on our trail system and, trying to look for areas that we can continue to expand. In Thunderbird Gardens area, there's not a lot of easy areas to build trail. So we looked at the remaining city property from the trailhead to the north, and we've identified this loop. It's about a 3.5 mile loop that would tie in with the 13th hole trailhead that's currently in place and underutilized. There's a restroom there, there's a parking lot, but there's really not a trail from the 13th hole trailhead. So we felt like this would be a good way to utilize a trailhead that's already in place and connect it in with the overall trail system. We met with the Leisure Services Board, and they were supportive of this action. We've also met with the Trails Committee and reviewed it with Trails Committee. They're supportive. And in the May Trails Committee meeting, we had invited members of the HOA that live there in that community. And a few of them came and were in support of this non-motorized trail within this area. So it would be non-motorized. It would be mountain biking and hiking, and actually would not be equestrian, because there are trails in that same vicinity that motorized and equestrian users could use and not damage the trail for hiking and biking. Biking does not do well with horses on it. It really decompacts the trail and makes it hard to ride on. So that's why we wouldn't want equestrian on the trail. But there's other trails in that same location that they could continue to use. So that's our proposal currently.
Are there comments, questions?
The trail that goes to 14 is the one that's goes the other opposite direction, right?
Yeah, it would lead south out of here and go down through the Razorback.
For those that haven't hiked that, that's a fun trail.
It is a really fun trail.
All right.
So one other piece of information I guess you should know is the only concern that did come up from the residents was this trail goes up and then comes into this cul-de-sac to cross the water retention basin and through the corner. And the reason we designed that was Sitla, who owns this property currently, has a developer that they're working with. and the developer didn't want us to have the trail go through the center of the property, but they were willing to let us go through the corner of this property. So one of the concerns that the HOA had was that people would potentially park along this road, Cedar, I'm not sure which one, Cedar Knoll, I believe is the road.
Knoll Street.
Knoll Street. And that potentially people would park in that cul-de-sac. That was their concern.
So they have control over that. That's part of the PUD. They can post it and do what they need to do to protect their own stuff there.
Okay.
You guys have been doing great work, and I see a lot of vehicles with bicycles strapped on the back from other states stopping in, and I think it's been a great boon to our community. So thank you for your work.
You are welcome.
So is there a designated parking area up there by that trailhead in the over in the subdivision or not then?
Just this right here. This is the parking lot. It's already in place.
Okay. Just so if we get asked about that.
Yeah.
Can't see it on that side.
Okay.
All right.
13th hole is
So
actually.
are there other comments or
Can you
questions?
zoom out so we can see the lay of the golf course, kind of get bearings? Is that possible?
This isn't a Google Earth. This is just a map.
Oh, okay.
So the 13th hole is over by that pond, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a tee box.
And
right
it's
there.
a par 3 up the hill. Probably my
Seven
worst
iron.
hole. That's what I keep telling myself, but it's never happened.
Swing harder.
Yeah, and then you really see a bad shot. But yeah, so this is back where the restroom is as you come off of 12, right, and head over toward 13.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Are we good if this goes on the consent? Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Item number 9, now we're just our staff comment on portion. Item number 9, consider approval of amendment to airport rules and regulation, flying club and speed limit restrictions.
Thank you, Mayor. Jeremy Valgartson representing the Cedar City Airport. It's that time of the year. All the grants have been written by the FAA, so you get to see my face a lot tonight. But we've been reviewing our rules and regulations, and we've had some interest from some of our tenants out on the airport to start a flying club. The Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, AOPA, has some new guidance out for flying clubs. And so we've developed these new rules and regulations and to amend the current ones on the flying club. And basically what it allows for is an equity and a non-equity club to join in on the flying club. So equity club, basically everybody can join in and they can purchase their own aircraft, and then they split it up equally. In non-equity clubs, everyone has to have interest in it. If you're going to lease it from somebody, you can lease it from that individual, but the club has sole interest and responsibility for that aircraft. So there's not a lot that's changed. It looks like there's a lot more that's been included, and that's just to add the equity and the non-equity clubs. Basically what it does is it allows our Saturday morning flyers, our recreational flyers, to get into aviation for much cheaper than purchasing an aircraft outright. So it's basically a cost share to fly. So that's a flying club. Speed limit out there, we've had an issue with vehicles driving too fast on the ramp. We did some research. Industry standards 15 miles an hour on the ramps, and so we're trying to slow everybody down. So we'd like to propose to reduce that speed limit down to 15 from 25.
Speed bumps.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Airplanes love speed bumps. Any questions on the rules and regs?
There are questions? This will be a resolution, so it will have to be on our action agenda. All right. Item 10, consider approval of specialized aviation service agreement, SASO agreement for Southern Skies Aviation.
All right, Jeremy Valgartson representing the airport. Clayton Cheney runs Southern Skies Aviation. He's had a business where he buys and sells aircraft, and when I was going through the files, I couldn't find the SASO agreement anywhere. He claims he's had one, but we couldn't find it. So we're going to issue a new agreement where he can buy, sell aircraft, and he also wants to do aircraft maintenance and aircraft rental. Not a huge demand out there yet for this, but he likes to do it on his spare time. So we're just like to get this SASO, this Specialized Aviation Service Agreement, approved. And we've done a few of those here, but just to remind you that a SASO is an agreement between the airport and the tenant where they don't have to be a full-fledged FBO and sell fuel and meet all the requirements of an FBO. They just have limited amounts of services they can do and still make revenue using our facilities.
Is it an exclusive agreement, or could someone else come and have another such thing?
Yeah, so we have multiple multiple SASOs on the field. Southern Utah Aviation has a SASO.
Okay.
For training. Brenda had a SASO for charter service. So if somebody else wanted to come and offer the same services, we could offer that.
Okay.
Are there additional comments or questions?
So Jeremy, while you're up here, where are we at with are we going to have a meeting with FAA this month on talking about recharge and airport?
Probably not the FAA. The USDA was supposed to come out Friday. He's just got called to Alaska to collect duck eggs. So they're going to bring more ducks down here. So he's tentatively scheduled us for, I think it's the last Friday of this month. So we'll meet with him. He'll get us a plan together. And then once the plan's ready, we'll present it to the FAA. So it's the federal government. Like always, we got pushed back a little bit.
You want that job, don't you, Fred?
I just find myself speechless. I can't even think of anything worth saying.
I was waiting for something witty.
Cover collecting duck eggs in Alaska.
Not always.
Oh,
All right, so with our back to tasks, our SASO agreement, we good with that going on the consent agenda? Okay. Item number 11, consider approval of Amendment 1 for a 5-year engineering contract with Aviation Engineers for Prairie Dock exclusion fence and preliminary ramp design.
All right, Jeremy Valgardson representing the airport again. As you're aware, Aviation Engineers won the 5-year engineering contract out at the airport. So this is the first project we had on the list was the Prairie Dog exclusion fence. The Fish and Wildlife came out and gave their biological opinion that we needed a fence around the airport if we wanted to get rid of the prairie dogs. If you remember, 2 years ago, the FAA came out and threatened to fine us $20,000 per hole that was out there. So my operations guy is out twice a day filling holes with gravel, and then every Monday we box scrape the airport. So when you see all the dust down there, that's because of us. Well, it's because of the prairie dogs. So we're going to put the fence in. This was the only mitigation.
Federal agency fighting with another federal agency.
Exactly right. But they're not so much fighting each other, they're fighting us, and so we're the middleman. So it's been quite the challenge. At first we weren't very excited about the fence. Now we are excited, so we can finally get them off our backs and we can have the control that we need to keep our airport safe and within standards. So for the design fees, this also includes a contract for preliminary design for the east ramp, or excuse me, for the center and south ramp. So the Prairie Dog fence is basically going to go from the terminal, the south terminal parking lot, down Aviation Way.
Can you point with your pointer?
Does this work? Yeah.
These red lines here are nothing. Those are city limits or something.
Yeah. So it's going to come down here. It's just going to follow the airport fence, come down Aviation Way, follow 56, head up this way, come all the way up to the fire station. We'll cut it across over here. We're going to end it right here because our fence right here is all messed up. The fence needs to be bumped out in a few years. So once that fence gets bumped out, we'll finish the project. Then we got to come all the way down here to the irrigation ditch, and then none of this needs to be done because it's all asphalt.
How do you handle where the truck goes from the fire station over the airport? How do you handle that? Do you have a gate? Do you have to open and close every time, or?
No, the truck will be in. It's already inside the airport boundary, so it'll just tie right into their building. So the fence will go into their building and end, and then continue on.
Pick up on the other side.
Okay.
So we've got the agreement from the Fish and Wildlife. Once the fence is in, we have full control, meaning we can mow, box scrape, blade grade. We've got lethal control to get rid of the dogs. Yeah, we're excited. We can finally meet the standard and free up some time for my operations and maintenance crew. So Javiation's portion of this contract is $265,310. Worse, it is an entitlement grant. It was a fiscal year 2017 grant, so the city is responsible for 5% of that cost. So that's $13,265.50. It has been budgeted and approved through the last budget cycle. So
This is to design the fence,
this is strictly design.
to draw a little line around it and say to the backhoe guy, dig right there.
Strictly design. Now, the majority of this cost is not, like I said, we're splitting it up between two projects. So the majority of the design fees you're seeing here is for taxiways and ramps. Now, I think our design fees for the prairie dog fence was $60,000, and the rest is for ramps. You put aviation in front of anything, and your cost goes up 500%.
All right. Are there
Give me
questions?
60,000, I'll just take them all home and make them my little pets.
Deal.
Oh, boy. All right. Can this
They will
go
have-
right on the consent agenda? Okay, we're just going to keep going. Consider approval of bid and awarding prairie dog exclusion fence project,
Prairie dog
tailor-made
ordinance.
fencing.
Okay, Jeremy Valgartson representing the airport. We advertised and opened bids on July 11th for the prairie dog fence project. We only had 2 individuals bid. We had 15 companies pull the plan sets. The 2 individuals were Tailor Made Fencing and Schmidt Construction. Both companies have done airport fencing in the state. FAA is happy with both of them, but Tailor Made came in quite a bit cheaper than Schmidt. The bid tab was in your council packet, but Tailor Made was $596,916, and Schmidt was $687,400. So we would recommend, and the FAA would recommend, that we go with Tailor Made Fencing, the low bid for the $596,916. Again, this is our entitlement fund, so the city's obligated at 5%, which is $29,845.80. And we have budgeted and approved that.
Where's this company from?
Hurricane, Utah.
This is gonna give us the small mesh, 6 feet deep, 2 feet above ground with a little hat on it.
Yeah, it's very similar to the golf course.
Okay, that's what I was just going to ask.
All right. Comments, questions?
Will it look a little nicer than the golf courses? Look like sheet metal?
I hope
stuck
so.
out there?
Yeah, we've done a little bit of changes in the design, so hopefully we don't have the fence walk like the golf course. We're going to have the underground and the above ground separate, so they're not tied together, so it should be a pretty straight fence.
Oh. Oh.
All right. We good with this on the consent agenda?
Ripley out there.
All right.
Temporary.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Item number 13, consider approval of auction items for the police department.
You can finally get your bike, Fred.
Good evening, council, mayor, and staff. In your packet, you'll see we have a list.
You still have to state your name.
Yes, sorry. Darren Adams, Police
Thank you.
Department. I thought about that before I come up, but I was going to bring up a joke about 60,000 to plan how to keep animals out and only 100,000 to plan how to keep animals in a shelter. So, in and out. All right, to more serious business here. We have a list here of auction items that we've accumulated over the last year to 2 years. Most of these are bicycles that are abandoned that we pick up that nobody ever seems to claim, which we don't understand why, but we accumulate probably 2 or 3 a month. And then there's a variety of items that have come from cases that have since been adjudicated. And so the collective total is well over 1,000, and per city policy, we come before you to get approval on those. The list is somewhat still growing, but it's similar items that you see here, and we're just trying to clean up the last little bit before we get those out. That auction is scheduled for August 12th in the parking garage area from 9:30 to 11:30. It'll be an open bid. And then everything that has not been picked up at that time, they'll try to auction off live after that at a minimum $3 to try and see if we can move all this stuff out. So please come and partake if you desire. There's a lot of items there to be had.
Just comment, Darren, the on some of the bicycles are actually being utilized by our
Yes.
Karen Share and a couple of the other facilities that people
That's correct.
would have some transportation there. They could ride over to job service or wherever they're headed for the day and back.
Some cities just paint their bikes pink or something and just put them in racks and you take them wherever you want and leave them and whatever. Do we ever think of something like that? Well, we'd paint them Nina Barnes green, but
We actually thought about that, and we still could consider that. That appears to be what happens now unofficially. I mean, we have bikes that are picked up from someone's yard and then they're taken and dropped off as the person gets to their destination. But I'm serious about that. That's why I think we collect so many, but we could certainly consider that. I know they do it in other places, so there could be some benefit there.
That is one odd list of items that are going to be auctioned
It's
off.
very, very diverse. And some of these
Quite shocked.
we've had forever. We're just tired of things sitting around, so we're trying to en masse get those moved out to clear up more space. So
Where do you actually have the auction at?
we'll have it here in the parking garage. We can put everything out and display it, and it's easy ingress and egress there. Yeah.
All right, can we go on the consent agenda?
Thank you.
All right. Item number 14, consider architectural contract for the animal control building.
I think you received this today or this afternoon in your on your computers. This is like the item says, the architectural agreement for the animal shelter. It's fairly simple agreement as far as the cost that the architect will be charging us. The cost for the architect's fee for the animal shelter between $0 and $2 million would be $100,000. And then anything, if it goes over that, then it's just going to be 5% of the construction.
Better not go
cost.
over that.
So
better be half
they do have exclusions on what would need to be charged additionally for additional costs, topographic survey, drainage study, record drawings, FF&E, sprinkler design, travel, overnight delivery of special delivery items, and services of specialty consultants. So pretty much the agreement on it. It is the architect that we went through the process for selection of the architect. CRSA Incorporated out of St. George. So.
All right. Are there questions, comments? They're good if this is on the consent.
motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, a work meeting that went last time.
Wow.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I am shocked.
Jeremy.
My daughter, my wife told me in her grave, she was doing her dance stretches.
Yeah.
She slipped off the side of her knee. Go
City council agenda.
Yes, I did.
The commissioners.
Saturday morning.
I talked with them to say they're going
I'll stay on my vacation.